My mom used my paycheck at Christmas while I ate leftovers, said we gave your seat to your ex. So I froze accounts, pulled cards, and killed their ski trip. We gave your seat to your ex. She got us 10% off the Christmas catering, my mom said, smiling like she just invented generosity. My sister added, just take this so you don't feel left out, and handed me a foil tray of leftovers. Not a plate, not a chair, a tray. I stood there holding $2,800 worth of wrapped, labeled, curated gifts, still warm from the trunk of my car. I nodded once, didn't ask which ex. Didn't care. Walked back out the door like I'd forgotten something, which I had, my dignity. My seat wasn't empty. It had been repurposed like a folding chair at a yard sale. My name wasn't on any place card. I scanned the table. Gold-foiled names and calligraphy. Each one clipped onto wine glasses with little pine cones. I got a tray in the driveway. My ex, I'm guessing Natalie, the queen of 5% cash back in expired groups, sat between my uncle, who once tried to pay for sushi with euros, and my cousin's new girlfriend, who told everyone she did energy cleansing professionally, which I think is rich girl for unemployed. She raised her glass and winked. I raised my tray and left. It had been an hour since I pulled up early and hopeful. I had triple-checked the RS5P. Even got a thank you email from my mom that read, "Glad you can make it. Just bring your holiday spirit," which apparently translated to cash, emotional detachment, and no expectations. The driveway was full. My name wasn't on the guest list, but my bank card still worked. That was the family motto. If you can't bring value, bring a visa. So I did what any self-respecting side character in their own life would do. I got in my car, set the tray on the passenger seat, and ate stuffing with a plastic fork while listening to Mariah Carey scream in the background. Then I texted my banker. Suspend holiday transfers. By 7:40 to 3 p.m., I'd removed the wallet from the shared Google Drive, withdrew from the joint lease on the co-signed apartment my sister accidentally forgot I was still paying half of, and revoked access to the emergency fund account labeled Family Safety Net, which mostly covered late-night Uber Eats and urgent eyebrow-threading appointments. At 11:07 p.m., my sister texted in all caps, "The account's empty." But what arrived at 11:12 p.m. changed everything. At 11:12 p.m., my mom sent a second text. No caps this time. We just thought she was being kind. She said it was for family. That's when it clicked. It wasn't just about the 10% discount. It was about Natalie, my ex. The one who still posted nostalgic selfies and places I'd taken her with captions like, "Miss this spot." The one who once said, "My brother had surprising charisma for someone with a bio that dry." The one who RS5P. D'd to our breakup with a LinkedIn update. She wasn't being generous, she was auditioning. The Christmas catering was just a foot in the door. The family discount was bait. The real play was my brother. I scrolled through his Instagram. Sure enough, 5 days ago, a photo of James in a cafe. In the background, out of focus but unmistakable, was Natalie, elbow on the table, smile loaded, tag none. But I recognized the scarf. I bought it. I put my phone down and just sat there. $2,800 worth of gifts still in the trunk, leftovers and foil on the kitchen counter. And somewhere out there, my ex was being welcomed into my family with open arms and roasted duck. I opened my banking app, 3 shared accounts, 2 linked cards, 1 recurring transfer still active. I shut them all down. Then I opened the folder, the one labeled Family Logistics 2021 and beyond, hidden inside a folder called Dad's Taxes, because that's what people do when they're laundering trust. They make it boring. The first file I opened was titled Mason Annual Flow. Flow like I was a revenue stream. $2,000 per month labeled family support. $1,200 per month for Kara's rent. $6,042 tuition for James, fall plus spring. $32 for monthly car insurance for the parent Civic. A Honda Civic 2012. Still alive, barely kicking, still technically mine. The spreadsheet was updated weekly with notes. Remind Mason about bonus season. Ask gently if he'll cover spring break. Natalie suggested group trip. Might sponsor if she's invited. Sponsor. I wasn't a brother. I was an investor. And my ex was trying to climb the board. That night, I didn't sleep. I calculated. Over 22 months, I'd sent them just under $49,000. Quietly, without thanks, without expectations, but definitely without consent to be replaced by someone who once ghosted me over a burnt latte. The next morning, I got a voicemail. My dad, calm voice, casual tone like he was ordering takeout. Just checking if you'll still cover January's tuition. It's the deadline this week. No mention of Christmas, no mention of the tray, no mention of the ex that now had my chair, my brother, and their loyalty. I didn't call back. I didn't text. Instead, I printed out every transaction, every payment, every email, and I mailed it physically to myself, certified, time-stamped, unopened, because I had a feeling this wasn't over, and next time I'd need receipts. Literally. I found out the same way most betrayals come these days, through a notification. 6:17 a.m. My credit card flagged a charge, $3,820. Alpenflog Panorama Tours, Zermatt, Switzerland. Ski country, chocolate, and snow. Not my family. I hadn't booked anything, but someone had. Then another ping, $1,435 for Hotel Bellevue, $978 for Glacier Express Rail, $32 for a cheese fondue reservation. At first, I thought it was fraud, some random stranger on the other side of the world playing with my card. But then I opened the email tied to the booking account. There it was. My brother, James, the same email he used when I bought him his college textbooks. Same profile photo, except now he'd swapped it for a snowy pic. Ski goggles, some girl's arm in the frame. And next to it, a comment thread from my mom, "You deserve this, sweetheart." No shame, no attempt to hide it. They used my travel wallet, my miles, my saved first DS, even my backup passport scan was in there. I'd uploaded it once in case of emergency. Guess the emergency was they wanted a vacation without me. I wasn't just excluded. I was funding my own erasure. I texted James one word, Zermatt. He replied, "Wrong number." The audacity. I didn't respond. I didn't yell. I did what accountants do when a ledger stops making sense. I audited. I opened my bank. Emergency card maxed out. Limit, $9,000. Remaining balance, $127. I clicked through transactions. Every one of them matched Instagram. A hotel room with a balcony view of the Matterhorn, posted by my aunt, captioned, "Living the Dream." She's spa day, posted by my mom, finally some peace. Mountain gondola ride, brother's girlfriend, boomerang hair fly, blessed, family time. They went full travel influencer without me, worse, using me. I canceled the card, froze every account, flagged every booking as unauthorized. The ski passes got pulled. The hotel reservation collapsed mid-check-in. I called the airline and revoked every digital boarding pass they hadn't used yet. Then I called my bank. Someone I know used my credentials. Relationship to you? Let's go with former. They landed back home 2 days later. I didn't have to track their flight. I got a photo from my neighbor. My dad's suitcase was cracked. My mom was yelling on the phone. James was dragging a broken-wheeled bag and still had the audacity to be wearing my jacket. At 6:41 a.m., I knocked on their door. They didn't expect me. I didn't wait for an invite. I walked in and dropped a printout of the charges on their dining table. $8,700. You've got 3 days. My mom blinked like she'd forgotten how math worked. My dad opened his mouth. I raised my hand. "Don't." James stepped forward. "Relax. You're being dramatic." I stared at him. "You stole from me, lied, took my cards, fake login, went skiing with my ex." His girlfriend had the sense to disappear in the hallway. But James didn't flinch. She said she got the discount. Mom said it was fine. He pointed like betrayal was just poor communication. Then he added something that changed the air. "You wouldn't have enjoyed it anyway." And there it was. Not just theft, not just exclusion, but justification. My dad tried to de-escalate. "Son, we were going through a lot. You've always said if we needed help." I cut him off. "You don't get to ask for help while pretending I don't exist." Then I looked at my mom. "You let her take my seat. You let her crawl back into James for a 10% discount." Silence, not even guilt, just inconvenience on her face, like betrayal was traffic. So I said it clearly. "You wanted me out? Fine. Now I'm out legally, emotionally, financially. I'm filing charges unless I get every dime." My mom whispered, "You wouldn't?" I looked at her, then at James. "You think I'm the same fool who paid your tuition, don't you?" James frowned. "Wait, what?" I nodded slowly. Fall, spring, summer, $6,042 total. The check didn't come from Dad's old friend. It came from me. He stared speechless. My dad looked at my mom like he was seeing a stranger. "You told me your cousin covered that." "No," I said. "I did, quietly, like always. While you were calling me dramatic, I didn't stay to hear their excuses. I walked out, drove home, sat down, and started typing a letter to my attorney because this wasn't a fight. This was an audit. And I was done being generous. They thought I was bluffing. They always do. When I left that morning, my dad shouted after me, "We'll talk about this like adults." I didn't reply. Adults don't take their son's money, passport data, and ex-girlfriend and turn it into a travel reward scheme. 3 hours later, James texted, "Bro, this is wild. You need to chill. Then, you were never the travel type anyway. Then, I'll pay you back. I just need a few months." Then, nothing. At 11:43 p.m., I got an alert. My email was used to log into the university portal, an attempt to reset my financial guarantor access. I clicked fast, denied access, changed passwords, and that's when I saw it. A form scanned, uploaded by James, my name, my address, my forged signature. He hadn't just used my money. He'd faked my approval for a semester I didn't even know he was enrolled in. I printed it, filed a fraud report, attached screenshots of his texts, his voice message where he asked me to just fix it like usual, and the PDF he'd uploaded with my botched signature. The university finance officer called me back at 8:12 a.m. "We're launching an investigation," she said. I replied, "Let me know where to send the subpoena." Then I sent a group email to the entire family. Subject: Liability Summary Q4. Attachments: a breakdown of $49,000 in contributions, screenshots of every payment, charge, tuition slip, a document titled Restitution Plan, Proposed Timeline, Due Date 30 days. No response until Aunt Melissa emailed back, "This seems excessive." She attached a photo of the family at Christmas dinner. James at the head of the table, Natalie next to him, my empty seat in the background. She wrote, "It was a lovely night. Sorry you missed it." That broke something. I stopped playing defense. I called the Department of Motor Vehicles, reported the Civic as misappropriated property. They still hadn't transferred the title. It was mine. Then I drove to their house Sunday morning, didn't knock, used the spare key from the garage like I always had. The Civic was parked out front, covered in snow, used like a communal cigarette. I got in, started the engine, reversed slowly while James came running out in socks. "What are you doing?" I rolled the window down. "Restoring ownership. You can't take that." "I can, and I am." He kicked the tire like it was going to fight back. Natalie came out onto the porch in my old hoodie. I looked at her. "Didn't know you still wore what wasn't yours." She scoffed. "You're insane." I drove off. 30 minutes later she texted me, "You could have handled this like a grown-up." I replied, "I did. You're just not used to real consequences." I made the final move. Opened my cloud folder, found the deed my grandfather gave me, scanned it, filed it with a lawyer, changed the cabin's access codes, revoked every shared privilege that included James or my parents. They hadn't been there in years. But that wasn't the point. The point was they couldn't go back. At 3:42 p.m., I got a call from my mom. She didn't scream. She whispered, "Your grandfather gave you the cabin?" "Yes, that was meant for everyone." "No, it was meant for someone who didn't use his son like a corporate donor." She paused. "We were going to surprise you with a ski trip next year. The cabin would have been part of that." I laughed. "You already did the surprise part." Then I hung up. That evening, James texted. "The university emailed me. You filed fraud." "Yes, that's my future, man." "Exactly." The next morning, he tried calling 6 times. I blocked him. At 9:11 a.m., my parents showed up at my apartment together. No yelling this time, no bags of pastries, no guilt smiles. My dad handed me a check for $8,700. I didn't touch it. "What is this?" "You said restitution. Here it is." "No," I said. "Restitution is when you're sorry. This is just trying to stop the bleeding." "You're punishing all of us," my mom said. I looked at them. Really looked. They weren't shocked or hurt. They were terrified of exposure, of financial consequences, of the silence. So I stepped forward, gently handed the check back and whispered, "You wanted me out? Now you get to prove you never needed me." Then I closed the door. They showed up with flowers, peonies, my mom's favorite, not mine. My dad wore a pressed shirt and that fake half smile he used at funerals and tax audits. James wasn't there, probably still hiding behind university firewalls and legal disclaimers. "We want to talk," my mom said. "We think it's time to start fresh," my dad added. Start fresh? Like this was a browser window, like they could clear the cache and pretend they didn't ski through Europe on my dime with my ex while I ate stuffing from foil in a parked car. I let them in, not because I forgave them, because I wanted to see how far they'd go. They brought pastries. Of course they did. Every family apology in our house came wrapped in laminated sugar. My mom started with a monologue. "We've had time to think. It wasn't right. We should have communicated better. We never meant to exclude you. Things just got complicated. Then my dad jumped in like a relief pitcher. "You're the mature one, always have been. You handled this whole thing like an adult. We admire that." I let them speak. Let them coat every lie in sugar and save family like it was a spell. Then came the offer. "Let's do something together. A dinner? Just us," said my mom. "Reconnect," said my dad. "No tension, no history. Sure, let's reconnect." I agreed, smiled, offered coffee. Let them believe they were winning. That night I booked a restaurant, high-end private dining room. The kind of place where you don't get a menu, you get a chef's monologue. I made the reservation under a fake name just in case they tried to cancel it when things went sideways. Then I called in 3 favors: a private investigator to draft a report with all the documented fraud tied to James and the forged financial aid form, a family lawyer to quietly prepare a cease and desist template with my parents' names already printed, and a friend at Human Resources to write up a completely fictional internship offer for my sister. She wasn't in the room yet, but she would be. The night of the dinner, I dressed like nothing mattered. Charcoal shirt, which I hadn't worn in months. Calm. They arrived together. My mom complimented the lighting. My dad joked about the no menu thing. I nodded, sipped wine, said all the right things. We talked about old memories, childhood trips, Grandpa's cabin, everything except the fact that I was the reason they hadn't declared bankruptcy 2 winters ago. Then halfway through the scallop course, I stood up. "I've got something for you." I placed a small folder on the table. My dad reached for it first, opened it. "Read the top page. Stop chewing." "What is this?" "A breakdown," I said, "of everything I've paid since 2021. My mom started flipping pages. I could see her lips moving silently as she read the totals. "It's detailed," she said. "I'm detailed," I replied. Then I pulled out my phone, clicked send one by one. The notifications hit their phones. 3 emails. One from the investigator, subject line, fraud, James Palmer, signature forgery. One from the lawyer, cease and desist, financial misconduct notice. One from Human Resources, internal admin opening interview slot reserved for K. Palmer. They didn't speak. I finished my wine, set the glass down. "You wanted a fresh start," I said. "This is it." They left the dinner stunned but smiling. Not because they understood, because they thought they'd won. "You're being the bigger person," my mom said at the door. My dad patted my shoulder like I just agreed to co-sign another mortgage. I smiled, held the door, watched them walk away like they were escaping a courtroom without jail time. 2 days later, the family group chat came back to life. My aunt posted a meme about second chances. My cousin tagged me in a Facebook memory from 10 years ago, like nostalgia could erase theft. Even James broke the silence. "Let's move forward. I messed up. You're still my brother. Still my brother. The same way an expired passport is still technically identification." Then my sister texted, "I hear you're hosting a picnic." I paused. They already knew. Of course they did. I'd mentioned it casually to a neighbor 3 weeks earlier. Might have some people over. Family outdoors. Something light. That was enough. By Saturday, half the extended bloodline was treating it like a TED talk with snacks. I didn't correct them. I just booked the space, printed 17 folders, and filled each one with a resume template. A job listing specific to their previous failures, a printed QR code linking to their local employment office, and a cover letter example that began with, "I am ready to become a functioning adult." I called it Palmer Family Reboot. The day of the picnic, they arrived overdressed. My mom brought a decorative pie that looked like it had never been touched by human hands. My sister wore a blazer. My dad wore cologne. That alone was suspicious. They expected a speech, maybe a round of forgiveness, an announcement of reinstated tuition, rent, grace. Instead, I handed out manila envelopes one by one. My cousin opened his first, laughed, thinking it was a joke. My mom opened hers and turned pale. My dad didn't open his, just stared at the others like they'd been given subpoenas. "What is this?" my aunt finally asked. "Your new beginning," I said. I took the liberty of preparing starter kits. My sister flipped through her folder like it was radioactive. "This isn't funny. It's not supposed to be," I said. I looked around. Picnic tables, homemade lemonade, resume packets fluttering like judgmental leaves. "You said I was heartless," I continued. "Said I was punishing you, that I didn't understand what family meant. So, I thought, fine, let's level the playing field." I nodded to my dad. "Your job lead is for a warehouse inventory manager based on your past role. Entry level, but with benefits. I know you like stability. Then to my mom, community kitchen assistant part-time, same one you used to volunteer at. They need people again, I called. Then to my sister, receptionist at a private clinic. Low pressure. Your old manager vouched for you despite how you ghosted 2 weeks in. Then to my aunt, senior cashier at the co-op you pretend not to shop at. No one laughed. I stood still, let the silence fill in everything. They didn't want to admit that I had done more homework on their lives than they had. Then I pulled out the final envelope labeled James. I handed it to him. He didn't take it, so I dropped it on the table. It's a job listing for a tutoring center. Entry level, $15 an hour. You'd be helping kids prep for college. Irony optional. I'm not doing this, he said, voice cracking. That's okay, I replied. Neither am I. Then I held up my own folder. Empty, because I have a job, a home, a life that didn't come from gaslighting and guilt. I didn't stay long, didn't eat, didn't drink. I left them there with folders, job leads, and the realization that their safety net just became a mirror. Let them decide what to do next, because I wasn't playing savior anymore. I was the warning. I didn't send a final message. No, I hope you understand. No, take care. Just silence. That was the point. At 8:11 a.m., my sister texted, "Are you serious? You actually submitted the fraud claim?" Yes. The university froze James's enrollment, his financial aid gone. He called me 7 times. I didn't pick up. At 10:23, my mom messaged. I talked to Natalie. She says she regrets it. Too late. She blocked me, probably before I could block her. At 10:04 p.m., the Civic was picked up by a buyer. Cash deal. $2,400 straight to my account. The new owner smiled and said, "Runs okay for its age." I replied, "Same could be said for my patience." At 4:57 p.m., I got a ping. Transfer complete, title registered, Palmer Cabin's sole owner. Grandpa never called, never asked how it went. He didn't have to. He knew. By 7 p.m., the family group chat was quiet. No more memes, no more let's talk, no more inspirational quotes about healing. At 11:12 p.m., exactly 1 week after I was handed a tray of leftovers, I got one final voicemail. My dad, calm, cold. "You've made your point. Congratulations. Just know what you've done to this family." I didn't reply. I just sat back, exhaled, felt the floor beneath me like it had just settled into place for the first time in years. They wanted me quiet, obedient, broke, grateful. Instead, I gave them something else, accountability. The kind that bites, the kind that comes with job listings and bank closures and notarized letters. They thought I was a wallet with emotions. Now they have the emotions, and I have the cabin, my money, and the last word, which is none at all. Looking back on it all, I feel a strange mix of relief and emptiness, like I finally closed a door that had been creaking open for years, letting in drafts of resentment I never fully acknowledged until that Christmas night. Standing in the driveway with a foil tray of leftovers in my hands, staring at the warm glow of the dining room where my ex sat in what should have been my place, something inside me shattered quietly. It wasn't loud anger at first, just a cold, hollow realization that I had been reduced to a utility in my own family. All those years of quietly transferring money, covering tuition, rent, insurance, emergencies. I thought it was love, the kind that doesn't need thanks or recognition. But in that moment, it felt like exploitation, pure and simple. The betrayal stung deepest from my parents. The people who were supposed to protect me, to value me beyond what I could provide. My mom smiling about the generosity of my ex getting a discount on catering. It wasn't just insensitive, it was a dismissal of my worth. They gave away my seat, my presence, as if I were interchangeable, replaceable by someone who could offer a meager 10% off. And then to discover Natalie wasn't just crashing the party, she was positioning herself, weaving into my brother's life, using the family as a stepping stone back into mine indirectly. It made me question every relationship I'd nurtured. Had I been blind, or had I chosen blindness because admitting the truth would mean confronting how little I truly mattered to them? Freezing the accounts, canceling the cards, pulling the rug out from under their ski trip. It wasn't vengeance in the heat of the moment, it was survival. For too long, I'd enabled their dependency, telling myself it was generosity, family duty. But seeing that spreadsheet, my name listed as Mason Annual Flow, like I was a subscription service, it crystallized everything. $49,000 over 22 months, poured out without a single thank you, without invitation to share in the joys it funded. When they charged thousands for their Swiss adventure using my credentials, my miles, even my passport scan, it crossed into theft, not just financial, but emotional. They erased me while profiting from me. Confronting them that morning, dropping the printout of charges on the table, demanding restitution, I felt powerful for the first time, but also profoundly sad. My dad's casual voicemail about tuition, ignoring the Christmas humiliation, James's audacity in saying I wouldn't have enjoyed it anyway, those words echoed the core wound. They didn't just take from me, they justified it by diminishing me. I wasn't the fun brother, the travel type, the one worth including unless I was paying, revealing that I'd been the silent benefactor for James's education. Watching their faces shift from defensiveness to shock, it brought no satisfaction, only a weary confirmation that they'd been living a lie, and I'd been complicit in funding it. The picnic, the reboot folders with job listings. It was my way of forcing them to see themselves as I had seen myself for years, capable, but choosing not to be. Handing my sister a receptionist lead, my mom a kitchen assistant role. I wasn't cruel, I was mirroring the tough love they never gave me. Their pale faces, the cracking voices, the realization that their safety net was gone. It hurt me too, because deep down I still loved them. Or at least I loved the idea of the family we could have been. But love can't be one-sided forever. It becomes resentment, and resentment poisons everything. Now, with the cabin solely mine, the car sold, the fraud reports filed, the accounts sealed, I feel lighter, unburdened. The silence from the group chat is deafening but peaceful. No more guilt trips, no more just this once requests. I've reclaimed my dignity, my finances, my boundaries. Yet there's grief mixed in, a mourning for the family I thought I had. The little boy in me who wanted approval, who gave endlessly hoping to earn a seat at the table. He's finally resting. In his place is a man who knows his value isn't tied to his wallet. This experience taught me that true family isn't about blood or obligation, it's about mutual respect, honesty, and presence. They chose convenience over connection, discounts over decency. I chose myself, finally, and though it aches to cut those ties so decisively, I know it's the healthiest thing I've ever done. Accountability isn't punishment, it's freedom, for them to grow and for me to heal. One day perhaps they'll understand. Until then, I'll sit in my quiet apartment, with my own warm meal on a real plate, and feel, for the first time, truly at home in my own life.